I'm Derek Fordjour. I'm an artist and live and work in New York City. You know, I was probably always an artist, like most kids. I just never stopped. I think most kids stop in middle school. I just kind of kept going. But I think my whole life, I think my earliest memory is making something around 3 years old. My mother would bring these pieces of cardboard from the shirts my dad had laundered at the cleaners. And they had this beautiful, pristine white surface with a great texture. And my crayons would go on so smoothly and so brightly that I was really stuck after that happened. So that was my first surface, and I loved it. My early experiences are in all the work. I do things that bring me joy in my studio. I work in sculpture. I only make paintings that I want to make, that I believe should exist. And so that kind of belief drives my work. And it connects me to why I exist. So every painting feels like a great opportunity to me. Yeah, I think I use gaming, sporting, competition as a way to have conversations around social concerns, identity, race, economics, power. A lot of the work, I'm figuring out my own position within the ecosystem of the art world. A lot of the inquiry is that. And then living in the world in the body that I do and all of the concerns that come to mind for me. You know, during COVID and also the George Floyd protest, I think I wanted to get more active. I think a lot of my work, figures that might have been grounded on a ground, found themselves more animated, more activated. And I think I was reacting to the fact that things were being shaken up. And I know that's a very subtle shift, but to me it was significant to activate and put more action in the work. I think in some paintings I was more drawn to landscapes because there was so much interiority for the year where we were all at home and on our laptops. So I really wanted vistas and open space. So I did tend to make more expansive landscapes and clouds, things that evoked outdoors. I usually start work with a question. You know, again, I really want the work to have some significance. I don't think it's possible every time out, but I get most excited around those works. But every canvas is built up. It's a very slow process of accumulation. So it starts with a canvas, and then we have corrugated cardboard that's glued to the surface, and then many layers wrapped, painted, torn, rewrapped, until the very top surface where there's lots of small paper that's applied by hand. So there are probably thousands of pieces of paper on every surface, but it gives me lots to kind of chew into and excavate from. I really love the idea of using materials that are accessible. When I think about places like museums and who might come here and what access they have to things, I really enjoy the fact that I work with common materials: newspaper, aluminum foil, in some cases crayon, charcoal. These are things that are inexpensive, usually widely accessible in the average supermarket. And I really like, the challenge to me to make something that can hold space next to a very pristine oil painting, but also facing the audience, a child who might not have the resources can feel like between the kitchen, you know, and the back porch, I can find what I need to make something special. You know, I don't really, I hate to disappoint, I don't really give lots of story around the futility of achievement. I really like that it's an open work. I will say that a lot of my work deals with performativity, performance, staging, and I think there is a performance at work. What you see has a lot to do with what experience you bring. And so this is a bit of a Rorschach. I do think this painting is making visible that which is rarely seen. Cleaning crews usually come out after everyone is gone. And what that means to you or what it conveys is probably a reflection of where you sit in the economic strata. So I like the fact that this work is open. There's lots of space for you to insert yourself as a viewer. And I'm really interested in what people come back with. That's a great question. Scale is really important. I think we think about scale in relation to the human body. And so when I make works that take up space, I'm thinking about that, about the fact that some works are an invitation for you to move back and forth in order to take it all in, or to step away in order to get the entire frame within your scope. And those kinds of very subtle activations, I think, engage looking in a very different way. But conversely, a very intimate scale can slow down a viewer. And so I don't think the monumental scale is the only way to work this. I really love to make really small sculptures, and I love the intimacy of a maquette because the desire to touch is there, because it can fit maybe in your palm. And so a lot of those reads, I think, are really important for the experience of viewing, and it's something I really take very seriously. That's true. I think I do. I think I do have recurring figures, and they probably all live in my head. Maybe they're not named. Maybe it's a way I costume certain figures. Uniforms is something that feature really prominently in my work for many reasons. And so I think costumes or uniforms probably show up because there's probably a legend in my head where a top hat has a certain connotation, or a tie, or slacks, or hard-bottom shoes, or a boa. And so the periodicity that these can bring, or the associations to era, are things that I really think a lot about. And it's probably more of the costume closet in my mind. I know lots of artists that don't have lots of attention, that work really hard in their studios just like me. And I probably have had more years in contact with artists like that. And so for me, the attention is something that I don't really control. I'm really happy to enjoy it while it's here, but I also know it's something that can move away. So I really try to remain rooted in my process, that what I'm doing is not contingent upon attention. It's really how I choose to live. And so art making is just at the center of my existence. It's what gives me meaning, and allows me to live in the world I do. There's a cathartic function to making art. So I really try not to pay a lot of attention to a lot of the outside noise. When I'm in my studio, I'm there alone, and it's kind of monastic. So the moments that I pop out are rare. Most of my time is spent alone. I loved going to South Mountain High School today because I think it's rare that many Americans get to meet a living artist, period. But especially when you go into certain communities that are communities of color, having access to creatives, I think is a rare, wonderful thing. And there are always kids there that want to make their lives creative lives. And so I love the validation that it can bring. I think representation is really important. I think the early artists that I knew as a young person were very pivotal to me. So I just try to open up and be accessible, to engage them in conversation, which I really like, to talk about their futures. I do feel conflicted with the precarity of a career in art as a path for kids that might be under-resourced. But I think that you don't choose to be an artist. I think you either are or not. And so I just encourage those artists that are early in their paths and let them know that it's possible. I'm honored. I'm honored to be named the Lenhardt Lecturer All the artists that came before are people that I absolutely respect. I really enjoy spending time with the Lenhardts. I think they're people that really care about artists, about art, about the public, all the things that I believe in. So I think from a values standpoint, it really lines up. And then the opportunity to have an impact so far away from where I work, the Bronx, to come into a community like Phoenix and to spread my gospel, I think it really is a tremendous opportunity. So I'm humbled and honored, and I'm really excited to be here. I really did think a lot about what I might share that's not out there already. And I'm excited to learn from my own lecture tonight, because I'm going to talk about aspects of my practice that I haven't publicly. So I look forward to that. And then I look forward to hearing back from the audience. That is what I'm really most excited about, the ways that people think about my work, the ways that they react to it. I actually learn a lot from that because I spend a lot of time in my own head. So being able to hear what this community thinks of the work I'm making is a real opportunity for me. I'm making a show for LA, my gallery there, David Kordansky Gallery, where magic is my muse. It's all about magic. And there will be a live magic show. I'm making paintings about magic. I'm making sculpture. And I'm really excited about all the many ways allegorically magic functions in my oeuvre. And so that's going to be fun. There's an exciting public project that I'm working on I can't say much about, but it will very likely be on this side of the country. And I'm looking forward to that too. So lots of good things cooking.